Hello and welcome to your Fantasy Premier League one-stop shop. I'm your host, Stephen Gallagher, one number 3 in points totals over the past 3 seasons. Today we're looking at all the key points for Game Week 22, how to handle the double Game Week 24, what to do with Jackson, the best defenders, midfielders and forwards to buy, fixtures to target, optimal rotations, captaincy and more. If you're watching on YouTube and have been enjoying the videos, or if this is your first time watching, then consider subscribing, and if you're listening on audio, then rate the episode 5 stars if you enjoy. Let's get straight into it, starting with the injury news. Chelsea have activated an early release clause for Chalobah at Palace. James Hill at Bournemouth had to go off early against Chelsea. João Pedro is in training for Brighton today and expected to be available for the trip to Ipswich. He's playing tonight and I'm recording Thursday morning, so we'll see how he gets on this evening. For Arsenal, Arteta confirms that Calafiori's injury is not long-term. And then Timber was a doubt for the match against Spurs, but he played and Jorginho was on the bench. And then bad news for Gabriel Jesus, he has done his ACL, so he'll be out for a while. The Premier League have confirmed that the Liverpool versus Everton fixture will be rescheduled to Game Week 24. This means that Liverpool play Bournemouth away and Everton play Leicester at home and Liverpool at home for that double. A lot of people will be using chips this game week, whether it's the assistant manager chip with Slot or the triple captain chip on Salah. My suggestion on how to attack this double is to triple up on Liverpool assets. You probably already have Salah, hopefully you do, and if you're not getting Arne Slot in with the assistant manager chip, I'd recommend doubling up on Liverpool defence, any combination of Trent, Van Dijk, Konate or Alisson. I think this is the best strategy because it's really hard to predict which Liverpool attacker, other than Salah, will play both games in the double, but you can be sure that the defenders will likely get a majority of the minutes in this double. That being said, a punt on Diaz, Jota or Gakpo would be the high risk, high reward kind of play. If I was to pick one of those attackers, I'd go for Gakpo right now, just based off his minutes recently. He looks to be the most nailed on of those three. Next up is what to do with Nicholas Jackson. We had this section last week and he's gone and gotten an assist there, but he's continued to underperform his expected data significantly. He accumulated 1.43 expected goal involvement against Bournemouth and missed a few big chances and only came away with the assist. I can understand people wanting to sell him now, but a bigger concern for me is when a striker isn't getting any chances. On another day, Jackson could have come away with 2 goals there, so my advice is to hold Jackson unless you can use the money to upgrade elsewhere and you can do it for free. So for example, downgrading Jackson to someone like Wood or Mateta or Wissa and then upgrading your midfield to get someone like Mbeumo or Gordon. That sounds like an upgrade for sure, but only if you can do it for free. I wouldn't be taking a hit to get Jackson out. And overall, I'm happy to hold on to him for these upcoming fixtures, but if he blanks this game week against Wolves, then he is out of my team. He's on the chopping block for sure. Next up is defenses to target using our fixture difficulty rating and combining that with the defensive strength rating of each team over the next 5 game weeks. On top of the rankings is Arsenal. They have a mixed bag of fixtures with Villa and City in the next 3, but they also play Wolves and Leicester and then West Ham. They rank first in the league for expected goals conceded and third for clean sheets. I recommend holding on to your Arsenal defenders if you have them, but I think having one defender is the best option right now because you also probably want a Liverpool defender and then there's so many good cheap defensive assets to own. So I'd keep Gabriel if you have him, and if you don't have any Arsenal defenders, I wouldn't go buying them until Game Week 23 at least. Second in the rankings are Liverpool. They play Brentford away next week, which is not an easy fixture defensively. Brentford do like to score a lot of goals, but then Liverpool play Ipswich, Bournemouth, and then Everton in the double, and then Wolves. So really nice fixtures there. They rank second for expected goals conceded this season and second for clean sheets with a game in hand. They do obviously have that double coming up. Like I said already, 2 Liverpool defenders is a great shout. Coming up to the double, Konate is my favourite just based off the price, and then one of Alisson, Trent or Van Dijk. But honestly, any combination of 2 of these is good. Third in the rankings are Fulham. They play Leicester next, then Man United and Newcastle. The best fixture is definitely the next one. Fulham rank 4th in the league for expected goals conceded. However, they only have 3 clean sheets this season. Robinson and Castagne are the ones to go for from them. They both offer a good attacking threat. And then Robinson got the 2 jammiest assists off Iwobi's crosses into the box, which no one got a touch on. So if you own Robinson, then go out and buy a lottery ticket because your luck is in. In 4th is Spurs and 5th is Brighton. However, I don't fancy a punt on either of them based off their defensive data. 6th in the rankings is Nottingham Forest. They've been immense. No clean sheet against Liverpool this week, but they came away with a draw. They play Southampton next, which is the best fixture to target, and the fixtures are decent after that too. But we have seen that Forest can keep a clean sheet against anyone this season. Milenkovic is the one I would go for from them. At his price and with his attacking potential, he's a great shout. Nico Williams is another good pick. He started the last 7 games in a row for them, and he's only 4.3 million, which is too good to ignore. He's definitely worth a shout. Next up is defender rotations. In this section, I've run a model to calculate the optimal defender rotations based off the fixture difficulty over the next 5 game weeks. As you can see, the model really likes Spurs' fixtures, but they're not really a defence I'm interested in, and neither are Brighton, to be fair, so I've removed them from the analysis. Now we can see Man United and Aston Villa ranking first, something like Mazraoui or Martinez and Digne or Konsa, and then Bournemouth and Forest ranking second. You could go Kirkes and Milenkovic or Aina or Nico Williams. But my favourite one here is probably Forest and Newcastle. You get Forest against Southampton at home, Newcastle against Southampton away, Newcastle against Fulham at home, Forest against Fulham away, and then Newcastle against Forest at home. So you can go for Hall and one of those Forest assets, and you get some really nice fixture rotation. Next up is attacks to target using our fixture difficulty ratings and attack and strength ratings over the next 5 game weeks. First in the rankings is Spurs. They're the 3rd best attack in the league based off XG, and they rank 2nd for goals scored, so definitely a potent attack. However, it's difficult to pin down which Spurs attacker to go for because there's so many to choose from, and none of them are hogging all the goals. They're all kind of sharing the goals pretty evenly. I've put Son, Johnson, Maddison and Solanke up here because they're my favourites, but I could also easily see Kulusevski going on and getting more points over this fixture run than any of these guys. It's just so hard to predict. I think Son and Solanke are probably the safest picks based off the minutes, and a punt on one of them is definitely warranted given this really nice fixture run. Second in the rankings is Liverpool. They're the best attack in the league, most goals, highest XG per 90. But other than Salah, who is getting the goals? Who's getting the minutes? It's tough to say. Out of the 3 of Gakpo, Luis Diaz and Jota, Gakpo's minutes have been the best. He started the last 9 games in the Prem, so he could be the one to go for with Liverpool's double coming up in Game Week 24. Third in the rankings is Chelsea, the 2nd best attack in the league for XG per 90 and the 3rd most goals in the league. Palmer returns again, another 10-pointer, and then Jackson we already discussed. I plan to hold him for this Wolves match, and if he doesn't return, he's gone. But I understand selling him this week if it means going to Wood or Mateta to free up some funds and upgrade your midfield to get in Gordon or Mbeumo. If you can do that for free, I think it's worth a shout. 4th in the rankings is Arsenal and 5th are Bournemouth. I don't fancy Arsenal attackers right now with how little they're scoring and with how spread out the goals are. You never know who's going to get them. And then Bournemouth, the next 3 fixtures are actually really tough. They only really start to get good in Game Week 25. 6th in the rankings is Brentford. They play Liverpool next, which is not ideal, but after that the fixtures are really nice. Mbeumo and Wissa are the ones to go for from them. 7th in the rankings is Newcastle. Isak just continues to haul. He hasn't blanked since Game Week 13. That's 8 game weeks in a row. Gordon as well hasn't blanked since Game Week 15. He's been consistently getting a goal or an assist every game, so these Newcastle assets are just so consistent. And then Jacob Murphy did blank this game week, but he could have come away with a goal if it wasn't for an absolutely unreal save from Jose Sa. He's still great value for what he offers. 5.1 million in that Newcastle attack is an absolute bargain. He's been incredible value for his price. And finally, 8th in the rankings is Crystal Palace. Their next 2 fixtures are great, West Ham and Brentford. You have Mateta, Eze and Sarr, all worth considering. They all returned against Leicester, Sarr with an assist for Mateta and then Eze with an assist for Guehi. They're all great value, and with the Palace attack starting to click and their good fixtures coming up, they're definitely worth keeping an eye on. On to the attacker rotations. Tottenham and Bournemouth ranking first. If you have a cheap Spurs attacker like Johnson or Kulusevski and one of Semenyo or Kluivert, that's a nice rotation. My favourite rotation here is probably Brighton and Villa. You can go for João Pedro and Morgan Rogers. You get João Pedro against Man United away, Rogers against West Ham at home, Wolves away, then Ipswich at home, and then João Pedro against Southampton away. So a really nice rotation there with 2 great budget players. On to the stats review where we analyse the best performing players in every position statistically and combine that with the fixture difficulty ratings. Players in red are the most expensive and in green are the cheapest. For goalkeepers, we're looking at expected goals conceded per 90 against the defensive fixture difficulty rating. Vicario at Spurs ranking first, although he's injured obviously, and they brought in Kinski to replace him. Then Verbruggen at Brighton and Henderson at Palace also looking good. And then Alisson and Raya have the best defensive data clearly. Onto the defenders, we're looking at non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 against the defensive fixture difficulty rating multiplied by the team's defensive strength. Arsenal at the top here with Gabriel the standout option offensively, then Liverpool players with Trent far and above the most attacking. Also showing up well here are Robinson from Fulham, Porro at Spurs, Milenkovic at Forest and Digne at Villa. Onto the midfielders, we're looking at non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 against the attacking fixture difficulty ratings. Spurs players on top here, showing the best underlying data of the bunch, and then Liverpool with Salah and Diaz, Palace with Sarr and Eze, Villa with Rodgers, and Newcastle with Murphy and Gordon, all looking solid. Onto the forwards, again Spurs on top with Solanke, and then in the top right quadrant there's Gakpo, Mateta, Wissa, Watkins, Jackson and Isak, all looking good here. Onto the captaincy, and in first spot I have Salah against Brentford away. A great fixture to target with Brentford's defensive record, and then Salah, he'll be itching for a goal after not scoring against Forest. In second, I have Palmer against Wolves at home, another good fixture to target, and he's so consistent. I'd be surprised if he didn't at least get a goal from this, if not more. In third, I have Haaland against Ipswich away, and in fourth, I have Isak against Bournemouth. I was debating which of these two to put third, but I landed on Haaland just based off the fixture. Now, Bournemouth have actually proven themselves a pretty good defence this season, so I don't actually think it's that easy a game for Newcastle. So Haaland is third, Isak is fourth, and in fifth I have Chris Wood against Southampton at home. The best fixture this game week, and a man that only needs a sniff at goal to score. He literally had one shot, one goal against Liverpool, but it's all he needs, and I guarantee you he'll get more than one shot at goal against Southampton, so I expect a few goals for him. On to my Game Week 21 review. There's still games to play tonight, Ipswich and Brighton and Man United and Southampton, but all my starting 11 have played, and it's been a great game week for me so far. 84 points, a game week rank of 138k and up to 316k overall. But that can all change with how João Pedro, Bruno and Ahmad play tonight, so unless they all get negative points, my rank is guaranteed to go down from this, but I'll still have a green arrow, I'd expect. Really happy with the performance this game week. Let's look to my plans for Game Week 22. For Game Week 22, I'm going to captain Salah. I've got 4 free transfers and 1.5 million in the bank, so there's a few routes I can go down this week. And when I look at this team, the only concern I have this week is João Pedro against Man United away, which isn't the worst concern to have. Other than that, my team looks good, so I might just roll. However, I can also afford to go straight from João Pedro to Chris Wood, and that looks very good to me. Another option I have is to go João Pedro to Gakpo, which I can't afford with one transfer, so I'd go Timber to Konate as well to afford that. And that would mean that I'd have 3 Liverpool players for the upcoming double, which would be nice. The reason I'd be willing to sell Timber is that if I kept him, I wouldn't be playing him until Game Week 23 anyways, when he plays Wolves away. But if I got Konate in, he's got Ipswich at home that week anyways, so I'd want to play him instead. The 2 things I don't like about this transfer plan is that Gakpo's minutes aren't secure, and I'd be benching Konate against Brentford away this week anyways. So there's my Game Week 22 plans. Not really sure what I'm going to do. Nothing 100% confirmed yet. So follow me on Twitter at FPL Gallagher to see what I end up going with. That's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. And if you're listening on audio, rate the episode 5 stars if you enjoyed. Until next time, guys, have a good one.